the next generation of lifestyle awareness that will transform your life significantly. Hi, welcome to Living Wow Out Loud. I'm your host, Callie Ray, founder of the Living Wow Center and author of the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. Living Wow is a lifestyle of choice and intention that was born from the truth that, number one, your body is designed to heal if you give it the environment to do so. Number two, you don't need a label or permission to be the expert in your own body. And number three, more than 80% of all diseases can be prevented or reversed by lifestyle. Unfortunately, this isn't what we're taught in our standard American diet and lifestyle culture. This podcast is a voice of hope and community where you will learn how to live a life of thriving that honors and embraces those three truths. Though you are an individual, you are not alone, and you can thrive living wow too. Connections. As I was preparing for this connection episode of the podcast, the old television game show Love Connection came to my mind. It's so cheesy, but really a fun memory around connection. I felt like I needed something light because I started to think about what happens in the body when you're isolated. Serious health conditions like anxiety, depression, cognitive decline, memory loss, aggression, insomnia, just to name a few. Social isolation increases your risk for premature death as much as smoking and obesity. All of this is due to the complex effects of neural, genetic, hormonal, behavioral, and emotional physiology. We came out of the pandemic isolation distanced, and it has now become a social norm, which is exacerbating the immune compromise. Rather than congregating and sharing our energy and immunity with a healthy immune response, we're isolating and in fear, which triggers the sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze response. Is it a coincidence that as the social distancing and isolation of the past 3 years has become common, that anxiety and depression have skyrocketed, along with many chronic diseases, including autoimmune disease? Again, we find the lifestyle having a significant and direct effect on your health and the sad culture norms sabotaging health at even the primitive level of connection. Why do you do the things that other people do? Because it gives you connection. As human beings, connection is healing. We all share energy, so who you spend your time with and what your surroundings look like and feel like all have an impact on your overall health. Going back to physiology, you find that humans are wired for connection with mirror neurons that read and reflect others' emotions. The senses of touch and smell turn us on or off to others. The beneficial chemicals of oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin upregulate the well-being and happiness and are present when you feel a physical connection. Social isolation is compounding the effects of SAD. What happens when you isolate? Mental health with depression and anxieties are all interwoven, and they are all feeding this negative health cycle that is trending in the SAD culture. It's important that we break this negative health cycle, and one of the best ways to break it is through community. It's through connection. It's counterintuitive because we've been taught that distance is how we become more healthy. But actually, it's connection. Conversation, touch, hugging and kissing, love and sharing. Healthy relationships of love and sharing are vital to thriving. I wrote about this in the final lesson of 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. The underpinning of healing is having connection. If you're listening to this podcast in real time, we're coming into the winter season of the holidays in the United States. This time, more than any other time of year, brings people together in tradition of gratitude, love, and connection, whether it be for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or New Year's celebrations. These are times culturally to come together and connect with each other and our heritage and traditions. It's a time of coming together in celebration. Of course, There is also pain and difficulties that many experience during this season due to loss or circumstances, and in no way do I want to minimize or dismiss that reality. I myself have lost family members during this season, and most recently my mother, whose funeral service was just days before Christmas and in place of our annual Christmas party 4 years ago. In acknowledgement of the fact that there are wounds and pains and difficulties that come during these times of family and community celebrations, I would encourage you not to ignore that. It is valuable to process. I acknowledge and recognize and experience that myself. But it is a time when we are able to connect on a more personal level with coworkers and reconnect with family and to share, to love, and to be loved. What I'm seeing is our sad culture becoming more and more fragmented and less connected. As we become more fragmented, we're seeing this dis-ease rampant in our culture of disconnection, anxiety, depression, even autoimmune. It all goes together. If you can flip this cycle and recognize those triggers and step outside of what might be a comfort zone, maybe that comfort zone is pain and hurting, but you can't heal in that. Now is a great time to use some strategies to reconnect. I'm literally employing these in my own life right now, and it's kind of the underpinnings of Grandma's Kitchen. Grandma's Kitchen is a new resource within the Living Wow Center based on recipes, tips, and techniques for cooking. I know that you can get this information from anywhere. All you have to do is Google it, and there's the answer to whatever problem you have. But what I find is that that is contributing to the disconnect. Culturally, we would learn these things from our grandmothers and mothers around pots and around ovens. Each culture is unique in the way that the skills of growing, harvesting, preservation, preparation, and consumption of the meals would happen as a family. Our families look so much different than they did 100 years ago. Our homes actually look much different than they did 100 years ago. If you look at a modern home, it's very common that the dining room has been eliminated completely as a room. It's been replaced by a great room, which is centered around a large television screen and entertainment. The kitchen is no longer the heartbeat of the home, and many homes don't even have tables. But the entertainment room is the heartbeat of the home. And in some homes, with more people working from home now, the office is actually the room that you spend the most time in. Grandma's Kitchen is a resource to be able to provide an alternative narrative to the isolation and disconnection of SAD and bring us back together again around the table, whatever that looks like and whoever your us are, but to create some tradition and connection that you can understand where your food comes from. In the United States, we are experiencing skyrocketing food costs, and there have been times of recalls of produce because of contamination. When you're growing your own, you have a different level of appreciation and gratitude for that food. You also have a different level of control and awareness over your food supply. And I personally feel strongly that that is an important part of your healing. Grandma's Kitchen is promoting that philosophy of connection and awareness by being somewhat of a surrogate grandma that you may not have had for a variety of reasons. You may not have learned these things at your grandma's apron strings like you would have done 100 years ago. You didn't bake bread with your mother every week. You didn't harvest in the family garden all summer because that's not how you were raised in the modern culture. We now have restaurants everywhere. We now have supermarkets that have everything you could possibly want. And most of the food inside these supermarkets is not even recognizable food to our families 100 years ago. It really is about whole food. Whole food comes from the earth. There is so much power, connection, and love that can be fostered through traditional, ancestral roots and lifestyles. The purpose of Grandma's Kitchen is to provide that awareness and synthesis of ancestral traditions and methods integrated into modern living wow by recognizing the power of connection through food and healing. Join us as we launch Grandma's Kitchen during this season of celebration to create new connection or deepen connection to heal hearts, mind, and body as they are all interconnected. Let's reach out and embrace one another, sharing connection within our Living Wow community and beyond. Hey, if you find value here on the Living Wow Out Loud podcast, will you please share it with your friends and take a minute to rate it on the platform that you're listening on? That's how we live wow out loud. You know that more people need hope and they need the messages shared. And that's how we get recognized among all the noise. This is where you find your voice. Will you please share and subscribe and rate so that we can grow? After my personal transformation from surviving to thriving with autoimmune diseases, I was completely astounded that the experience was not what I expected it to be. Instead of resenting my body and being forever trapped with a legacy of bad genes, as I had believed would be my fate, I looked and felt 20 years younger. I had dropped weight that had plagued me for decades, eliminated chronic pain that no doctor, therapy, or medicine could relieve, and found energy that I hadn't had since I was 16 years old. Because this is not what I expected, and because I wish someone would have told me that there is another way than sad, I wrote the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. As I began to share the book and the message of change your story, Living Wow was born. After years of continuing to learn and study how and why lifestyle has such an impact on disease and the world being torn apart by a global pandemic, I can't stand by any longer keeping it to myself. You have to understand that the power is in your hands. The power is in your body. The power is in your lifestyle. The Living Wow Center is a holistic wellness practice that utilizes the framework of the Living Wow lifestyle to identify system failures or maintenance needs. Whether you just need a tune-up or a complete systems overhaul, we support you as an individual to get back out on the journey and living wow. We will work with you to determine levels of function, needs, tools, resources, and or providers that may be best equipped to guide you as you step out of the negative health cycle and turn it into a positive health cycle. The Living Wow Center offers a revolutionary, comprehensive approach to healing, coaching, and support that is necessary in our complex, sad world. Schedule your complimentary consultation today to see how Living Wow can support you. I'm super excited to announce Supercharge for you. We are changing the name of the Living Wow Challenge to more clearly represent the monthly support program where you take Living Wow for a 10-day spin. I know 10 days doesn't seem like much, but it is. And that's why it's now Supercharge. Living Wow Supercharge is a 10-day supported focus on eating a clean, nutritionally dense diet with intention as you jumpstart into the Living Wow lifestyle. You will feel lighter, more energetic, and empowered with your nutrition. You will experience the power of nutritional healing with less pain, more energy, and a better mood. The Supercharge includes a comprehensive 10-day seasonal menu, recipes, videos, quick start guides, and links to resources. You begin with a prep, then daily support, and wrap up with a review. This is the fastest, most immersive way to get started and feel the effects of Living Wow now. Right now, go to livingwowcenter.com. That's livingwowcenter.com to sign up now for the next Supercharge running the 1st to the 10th of the month. Early sign up ensures you a spot and gives you time to complete your preparation assignments as you gear up to Supercharge. Wow, you just finished another episode of Living Wow Out Loud. I hope you leave today empowered to live your best life and thrive. If you're ready to jump in and learn a little bit more about Living Wow, come check out the Living Wow Center. That's livingwowcenter.com.
And maybe consider joining our next Living Wow challenge. We run the 1st to the 10th of every single month. See you soon.